I'm editing my novel this week. So I wrote this in 2023 and finished it at the beginning of 2024, which is when I started querying it. So a bunch of agents have read it. My entire writers group has read it and has given me feedback on it, but that was before I did my last revision. And now I got a lot of feedback from agents, and most of it was positive. Most of it was really great things about the tone, the voice, the writing itself, the characters. So that's all very good. I didn't get that much criticism or constructive criticism, which like I wish there was more of it, but that's not what agents are there for. But there is some feedback that I got, really small things that I think I can apply easily, and then other things that just challenged me to think about the way I want this novel to look. And also all of the stuff that I've learned in the last year about this novel while like having it shelved, if that makes sense, or not looking at it for a long time. I just think of it differently now than I did when I wrote it, which is really great. And I know what I want it to feel like and sound like, and I know what I want it to be. And so I'm excited to see when I read it this time how it feels. The novel is technically in sort of like in 3 parts. So today I'm going to refamiliarize myself with all of the feedback that I want to apply and all of the things that I have thought about since then. And I have like a huge doc that I'm going to go through and reread so I have it fresh while reading. And then for today, I just want to go through part 1 and see how I feel after that. I'm going to take you along with me on this little journey and we'll see where we end up. I feel like I'm just going to talk about this process a lot, so I thought it was interesting to share it. So most of day 1 kind of looked like this. At least for the morning, I just stared at my computer the whole time so long that I had to shovel my way out of my house, go to a coffee shop, and just watch the world happen for a minute. And then when I came back, it was time to read. And so I read all of part 1, I annotated it, I really went in, and I was feeling really good about it. Okay, so it's day 2, which is so funny. So yesterday, I made sure to familiarize myself with all of the feedback and everything that I wanted to apply. And so I did do that, and I went through part 1, and I have a lot of action items. These aren't all action items, and they're not all big. Like, that's the thing with revision and editing. It's like, it's not always huge. It's a lot of small changes that add up to something bigger in the long run with the way that it makes everything feel. This is the part that I find really fun because I'm really good at working off of something that's already there and just editing it and making it better. So I'm excited to do that. So today I'm planning to do the same thing that I did here with part 2 and 3. So read through them, take a bunch of notes, have like a plan of where it's gonna go from here. I don't want to rush it too much, so that feels like a good balance. And then I'll have the 3 days after that to actually hack away at it and work on it and see what comes out of this week. Day 2 was really boring and I barely filmed any of it, but I did go for a mental health walk. And again, like a motif for this week is that there was so much snow. I finished going through parts 2 and 3 and ended the evening going to swim at the pool. Okay. This morning, yesterday I finished reading the entire manuscript and I annotated it completely. And then I had a revelation about structure and what I want it to look like. I have so many notes on how I want to move things around and how I want things to flow differently than they're flowing right now, which is all very exciting, very good. And so this morning, what I'm going to do to jumpstart all of that is go to a coffee shop and just sit down and do it. There's too many distractions at home. I just need to start. And then when I start, I'll be good and I'll be able to continue and to keep going. Okay, so I'm back. I'm back from the coffee shop, and boy, oh boy, it's all good news, but it's a lot of news. Do you know what I mean? Essentially, I started, doing the new structure. Now I'm like, there's just a lot to do, which is good, and it makes me feel motivated to do, like I'm motivated to do it, but I'm not gonna do that this week. I'm not gonna finish it this week. There's no way. There's too much to do. So that is a new development. What is this video gonna turn into? I have no idea. This is the revision that I've been dreading. Not dreading, but I was worried about doing this revision because it really is going to be like hacking at stuff, taking stuff away. I'm killing some characters. No, not literally, but I'm removing them, centering the narrator more. Now it's going to be about locking things in place and sort of figuring out, a good flow and what I want, and also who I'm, who's getting the boot, how they're just not going to be there anymore. There's a lot to do, but I'm excited by it, and it feels like the right direction, and it feels really good, which is all amazing and positive. And so I will do that after lunch. Okay, dear reader, this is me from the editing room. And I have to be honest here, I did not do anything the rest of the day. Stamina is really important for finishing a novel. Writing a book is really long and arduous. It's not necessarily always hard. Sometimes it's really hard, and then sometimes it just happens naturally. But I find that stamina is really important, and so I didn't want to burn myself out. And at this point, where you are in the video, where we are in the video, I was whelmed, not overwhelmed, but I was whelmed with the amount of stuff I had to do. Originally, I was like, oh my God, it's gonna be great. I have a week, like, lovely, because I have edited this book like so many times that I thought, oh, for sure, like within a week I can make small changes that are gonna have like big impact. But I needed big changes that would have big impact. Do you know what I mean? And I only realized that after reading it. And it's an exciting place to be because I didn't feel it at this time, but it's an exciting place to be because it is perspective that needed time to get there. I needed space from this book to be able to think about it critically and to be able to see it for the things that are missing, the things that could be pushed further. So all this to say, on Wednesday, I did not do anything else in terms of writing for the rest of the day. And Thursday's very chill, as you will see. And, well, you know what? I'll let you get to Friday when we get to Friday. So back to the video. Here's the thing. If I come out of this week with a plan forward and some structure, that'll make me feel really good. And I think that's all I need to do. And I'm not going to put too much pressure on myself for more, because honestly, what I've learned in this entire process of writing a book and then revising it over and over again, time is your friend. So I'm going to take my time with it. Honestly, it's not like I'm not rewriting the entire thing, okay? That's not what's happening, but I do have to move a lot of things around, and I have to go over every single word that I've written. And that's okay. That doesn't mean it's going to take me a billion years, because I've already done one pass at it. So now what I'm doing is putting everything where it needs to go, the building blocks that I already have in the right order, and then from there, going over it and figuring out how I want it to be in this new iteration of it. Does that make sense? It does to me, so that's okay. So that's what I did the rest of the day. I started on the computer, but honestly, I went right back to the physical copy, and I felt like I needed more notes for each chapter. So that's what I did for the rest of the day, and then I went to Pilates and had dinner with some friends at a restaurant. So today was the last day of this week that I'm working on the revision of the novel. Like I said earlier, it's a lot more work than it's a lot more work than I thought it would be. I have a lot more work than I thought I would have. So today what I did was I worked on, again, like setting up the building blocks to make it easier to work on incrementally as I move forward. Because it's so overwhelming to just stare at a blank page and not be sure where to write, but to have something in place already, like structurally, and knowing what I can do in little chunks of time that I will carve out is going to be so helpful to keep me motivated, to stay on track, and to just like keep moving forward. Hello, I'm coming at you from my computer. Well, you are in my computer currently. I want to talk about Scrivener. Scrivener is the program that I use to write in. I really like Scrivener, but you know how science says we only use 10% of our brain and the other 90 is like floating in the air, whatever. That's how I use Scrivener. It's so bare bones, but I really like the way you can structure things. So this is kind of how I have it. Like, I have all of the parts of the novel, and then split up with different chapters. So this is like a new revised doc. I have the original lineup here, and then this is the edit that I'm doing. Yesterday, what I did is I went through and every single chapter has action items on it now. For some reason, I think going over it like a million times and just like being in it, in the weeds with it, a couple different times, like over and over, feels good to me because I'm like going over all of the things that I'm saying are action items, right? Like a couple times. And so now what I'm doing is I'm transferring all of them over here. Okay, so this is an example, right? Like here is the original. So I copied chapter 1 to here to the edit version. So I still have the original, which I have like 6 versions of the original. It's fine. And I have all of my action items here that I transcribed from the physical to the digital, and I'm doing that like over and over and over again. And that has been really helpful for me to, again, like make sure that I'm triple checking these decisions and making sure that I am not wasting my time or like doing things that I'm gonna then change later. Because I already have a finished product, I don't want to go into it like without very real intention of every single move that I make and every single change that I make. And so this is how this is going to work for me. So that's what I'm going to do for the rest of this day, is just transcribe physical to digital action items, things I have to do for each chapter, yada, yada, yada. So while I'm not ending this week with, the goal that I had in mind originally, I feel good because I'm excited about this revision. I'm excited about the changes that I'm making. This is something that I was talking about with a friend. I'm really interested in the idea of taste as a journey, not a destination. Like reaching your taste is always impossible because it's always ahead of you, right? Like I'm never going to be writing exactly in my taste because it's always ahead of me. And so year after year, my taste like changes, like the bar, it gets higher and higher every time, and I'm following it. And so I think like they're doing snow plowing, if you can hear that. I think if like a writer looks back at a book that they wrote 3 years later, they would write it completely differently now because their taste has changed. And their skills have changed, all of that. And so that is what I'm thinking about now. And I'm so happy that I can be like in a place where my taste is further along than it was when I originally wrote this. And now I can recognize how the original manuscript doesn't align necessarily in specific ways with where my taste is now. And so it feels really good to be moving it forward and changing it in this way.